So here's what I'd love to be able to do is if today we can kind of start working or finalize the org chart, not all the details, but at least the top tier team.
Okay.
I'd love to see if by next week or maybe the week after, we can schedule a meeting with the leadership team.
Okay.
Okay. So let me just share my screen so I can explain how I call it a leadership team. Again, whatever language I'm using, you kind of adjust it to fit the culture and you tell me what you want to
Okay.
call it.
Sure.
Um, but we talked, where was it? We talked I can't remember when we talked about this, but sometime in December, we talked about the strategic side, right? So we have the vision, help all people know the fullness of God and experience the love of Jesus. And we talked about we kind of took the mission statement and broke it down into strategic steps, right? So help all people, meaning we're doing some form of outreach within the community, knowing the fullness of God. We talked about that as being kind of like discipleship, whether it's from the pulpit or in a classroom. It's we're creating an avenue where people are getting to know God. And then we talked about experiencing the love, and we talked about that as from the lenses of the worship experience. Um, and so
Excuse me.
bless you. So we kind of took those elements, right, and we moved it into the org chart, right? So now when we're looking at how we're organizing things, um, and again, this is my philosophy. Um, I like to go from vision, right? So to me, vision is God's plan for your church, right? So the vision is help all people know the fullness of God and experience the love of Jesus. Now that we have a vision, to me, vision is the equivalent of a destination, right? So this is us saying, hey, um, we know where God wants us to take us. The next step is the strategy, right? The strategy is, all right, now that we know what the finish line looks like, what is the directions we're going to take to go from where we currently are to where we believe God wants to bring us? And so that map is outreach, discipleship, experience, and operations. And we can change these names, uh, and
And I
I'll go
go
for it.
ahead. As I say, so I thought about this uh, last week. I was reviewing this information and I taught a series recently, um, Find, Connect, Learn, Serve. And I think, did I tell you that? I don't know if
You
told you that.
did. You mentioned it. You
Okay.
mentioned it. So find,
With that, I guess discipleship would be learn,
ah,
meaning
hold on a second. Why is this not? There we go. Find, connect. You said learn
learn,
and then serve.
serve.
Now, when you say serve, serve has, in my opinion, multiple meanings. Are you talking about people serving? Are you talking about serving the community, the congregation? What is serve?
I guess it could go both ways. The way we have said it is our goal is to help people find Christ, help them connect to the body, learn from his word, and serve in his love.
Okay.
And so, as we are serving in his love, part of that responsibility or part of that goal, part of that from here to there, as we're serving in his love, we're helping others find Christ.
Yeah.
So, I look at it I teach it as a cyclical thing. Find, find Christ, connect to his body, learn from his words, serve in his love, and then you're helping others find Christ. So,
Yeah.
that's how I've taught it. Um,
Perfect. So let me just make that as a note here. Okay. Uh, strategy, strategy. You said find, connect,
learn.
learn, serve.
Right.
and then represent in a cyclical fashion so that serve connects back to find. Okay. So when we create this, when we lay this out in the playbook, we'll create some image that
Okay.
so it's clear that it's there's no beginning and end. It actually, when you get to the end, you go right back to the beginning because now that you are serving, you know, that you're responsible for helping find.
And that's the way that I have taught it is this is the model that we're
Mhm.
using so that everybody's responsible. You're somewhere on that cycle.
Yeah.
You're somewhere in there.
So
And so our goal is always to point people to Christ.
hold on a second. Nope, that's what I want. This is what I want. Find, learn, serve. Okay. Um, Let me move this here. So just close the screen. Find, connect, learn, serve, perfect. And then we're saying, so serve is helping people in the community found. Um, and then when we talk about learn, we're talking about, in some respects,
So yeah,
discipleship.
so and we can start from the top if you want. It's the evangelism is really helping people find Christ.
Okay.
And we have looked at connect as oh gosh, assimilating into the body, somehow. So find connect. So we help people find Christ and we can help people connect to his body.
Mm, okay.
Discipleship is learning from his word. And then the love is that service or ministry, um, helping people serve in his love. Again, whether it's that would be the next one there.
I'm sorry. Give me one quick second. Sorry.
You bet, you bet. If this isn't where you want to go today, that's fine. It was on my
This
head.
is no, this is perfect. Just give me one quick second. I just okay. I'll respond to him. Sorry. My one of the other pastors that I'm meeting with later today was just asking to reschedule.
Oh, great.
So I just yeah, honestly, my schedule today is like boom, 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 boom. So when he said that, I was like, thank you, Lord. Um, so this is perfect. Um, so here's how my mind works. Number one, when I look at this, my first question is who? Who is responsible for each one of these? So we need a find director, and we can call it find director, or if you want to call, I'm fine with the find director, connect director, learn director, serve director.
Yeah, we don't have a title for that individual. So whatever we come up with, then that's where we're at. That's good.
Okay. So, and the reason this is important, Pastor, is because what will happen is this. You will preach an amazing sermon on these things. But if we don't have someone responsible for it, there's no one who is going to help us move it forward, implement it, make sure it's being built, champion it throughout the church.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, because I that's what I get all the time. It's like, great, now what?
Now what?
Now what? And
So,
so we miss the who, then we miss the what.
yeah. And great. And I was gonna say to you, I think going forward, how I want you to start thinking is instead of now what, the question should be who.
Now who?
Now who? Yeah, that's even better. I was gonna say who what, but that doesn't make sense. Yeah, now who?
What?
Who what? We just turned made this military. Um, so now who? Right? So whenever something pops in your heart and you're, man, this is the Lord, we should be doing X, Y, and Z. All right, Lord, show me who. Because if not, it's going to be you,
Right, right.
you know.
It's not going to happen. Is more specifically what happens is too much, so nothing happens.
It it's exactly. And it's nothing. It is not something to be ashamed of. It's nothing. It is the reality that many pastors miss in their minds. They're taught you're the pastor, you're the paid minister, you've got to do all the work. But I believe that part of that is actually not in alignment with scripture,
Right,
right?
right.
When I look at Ephesians 4, I look at Acts, I look at the conversation in Exodus between Jethro and Moses,
Yeah.
right? There's a ton of people that God has brought to your church, and the question is, how do we steward those people and the giftings that are inside of them? So, question.
Excuse me. Hey, Scott, I'm in a meeting here. Sorry. Excuse me. A quick call I have to take as well.
No problem.
This is Tim. Hey, Darren. Good. Yeah. I will be a little later. Um, Probably not today. Yeah, I did. Yeah. 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 I'm actually on another call right now. So sorry,
No
I
worries.
shouldn't have taken that. I was the wrong Darren. My son-in-law's boss is
Mm,
Darren and another guy is Darren, and I thought it was my son-in-law's boss. So
no
the one in the
worries.
hospital. So I'm trying to get ahead here.
No, no, no worries. I get it.
I was in too many places.
So, so step one, right? I'm gonna call these are strategic anchors, right? So these are four things that are gonna help us get to the vision.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm gonna just delete this here. Um, and so each strategic anchor is going to need a director, and then it's also going to need systems which are supported by ministries. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of say, hey, these are the systems that I typically do. And then we'll stop and you'll say, I like it, we do it, we don't do it. Oh, we should try this. I hate it. Okay. All right. So when it comes to evangelism, number one, we do what we call organized outreach. What this simply means is throughout the year, we're going to look at certain dates and we're going to create outreach events around these dates. So, an example is you might do an egg hunt around Easter. You're going to do maybe a service for Mother's Day, right? You've got Easter Sunday, right? These are events that we're going to be hosting based on certain calendaring, or we might identify certain Sundays. So you might be, for example, in the next 3 weeks, you might be preaching on whatever, healing or something like that. Or we're going to do a time of prayer for family with young kids, right? All of those things become themes that may give us an excuse to invite people to either an event or to a service.
Okay.
Okay. So we've got organized outreach. Then we have what I call lifestyle evangelism. And all this simply means is I'm going to leverage the congregation to invite,
Yeah.
right? We do this typically through a series.
Oh,
So,
okay.
right, so the way to, and we can do it through a series or we can do it through an announcement, but what we're going to do is we're going to select a date, right? So these are events. These could be in church or outside. So, for example, let's say Easter. I don't know what day Easter is off the top of my head, but let's make believe that it's in April.
Okay.
So, the 3 weeks before April, I'm going to have a series where week one, I'm going to say to the people, hey, I want you to identify one family you're going to reach. Week two, I'm going to say, hey, pull out your phone, send a text message. We're going to invite those people, or we're gonna ask those people to submit a prayer request. Then week three, pull out your text message. We're going to invite them, pull out your phone. We're going to send a text message to invite them to our Easter service, right? So we're leveraging our Sunday services to mobilize the congregation.
Okay, so just to put, feet to this, our next big event, our last big event was Christmas Eve.
Mhm.
Those are Christmas Eve and Good Friday are two things that we do every year. That's no, that we just don't miss. Um, both of those events started out with 30 to 40 people. Our Christmas Eve service this year is 230 people. Uh,
Awesome. Yeah.
our Good Friday service will be, well, should be close to 250. Um, what I would like to do then, and and in both of those, this is just quite by happenstance or it's directed to the Lord, however, but in both of those cases, I do a series leading up to them. I always have. To me, Christmas and Easter. My former pastor used to say, "Well, they're just another Sunday," and I'm like, "Man, if they're just every Sunday is special." I said, "Well, if every Sunday is special, no Sunday is special."
Yeah.
So we always do a 3 week run up or a 4 week run up to Christmas and Easter. And so our next event like that would be Good Friday, where we would be. So what if I'm hearing you right? When we look at that, then we engage the congregation even during the service. Like, hey, pull out your phone, let people know we're gonna do a Good Friday service. Now's a great time to invite them.
Yep. Yep.
During the service, you do that.
During the service, because if you tell them to go do it on their own,
Not
a
gonna happen.
major portion won't do it. And not for negative reasons. Sometimes you just forget, right?
No,
The
yeah,
kids get sick, you know, life happens, somebody cuts you off and you forget what the sermon was about and or you're in road rage, so life happens, right? I think one of the best opportunities to get people to take action is when they're in a crowd of other fellow believers who are like-minded. I'll say it in a more Pentecostal way. There's faith in the room,
yeah.
right? So when there's faith in the room, I want to leverage that moment.
Wow. I mean, that's one of those that was worth the price of admission type deals. Just that whole concept for me is
Mhm.
not how I think. So,
Yeah.
and yet I hear over and over again from our congregation, it should be in my head because over and over again I hear from my congregation, they are so grateful when they're challenged during the service to anything. If I challenge them to read, the last time I had a really serious challenge was I challenged people to read an hour a day. And
Yeah.
and several individuals have taken me up on that and life changing for them.
Yeah. I love that. So I think that that's something that if you challenge them every single week, I would just so I'm a big believer in every sermon should have some action step.
Right,
Okay.
right,
But if everything is at a level 10, right, then it loses its luster.
right,
So some might be easy challenges like, hey, go home and just say thank you to your kids.
right, right.
Boom, easy. Some of them are going to be, hey, this is a big one. I want you to go pay for somebody's lunch,
Yeah,
or I want you to go knock on the neighbor's door and introduce yourself, right? Like that, there might be some of those. So we'll look at them. And so when I'm looking at these outreach events, I think, an easy one is Mother's Day, right?
Yep.
Father's Day. And here's what I want you to know, Pastor. When we're doing these events, it doesn't mean we got to change the service. You do a regular service. All we're doing is giving it a theme that we can use to invite someone, right?
Okay.
So you don't you still preach, you do the worship, you do everything you're doing. I mean, for Mother's Day, if you want to give out some flowers afterwards, fantastic. For Father's Day, if you want to give out some donuts or something, great. But you don't have to do anything major to if anything, the what carries the weight of the service will be the sermon,
Sure.
you know.
Okay. So how then, maybe I'm overthinking it. Um, because so let's just take Mother's Day and Father's Day. We always do flowers. We've got something for mom. Dad's, we usually dad's root beer and maybe a brownie.
Mhm.
Uh, and we just do a pretty standard service. I've just never used it as an opportunity to invite. Like
Yeah.
it's just a change there. So really what we're looking at doing then is challenging the congregation to invite somebody for that time. And
Yeah.
that's really the only change leading up to that. Do you do a 2 week, a 3 week run up to that? Do you do a,
2 week, yeah, you could do a 2 to 3 week run up. That's it, you know. But but
so
but
it's just you're looking at we're talking about I'm putting a theme together to give people an excuse to invite somebody.
that's it. You're my so what did you preach on this past Sunday?
Um, what would you give your life for?
Okay.
The title was I'll stake my life on it.
Okay. So I'm going to assume somewhere in there that there's some tension of value, right? Like what's important. Okay. So imagine, and I'm going to come up with some really bad titles off the top of my head. But
Okay.
if I gave it a title and I go to someone who is in the community, I would say something like, "Hey, you've probably given yourself you've probably given your time, your energy, your finances, your resources to things that did not add any value to you, or maybe a different question, you know, um, have you ever felt scammed, right? Have you ever felt like life has scammed you,
No.
right? Man, this Sunday, we're going to talk about the three things that you've got to make sure these are the things that if you invest in, it will multiply. It will help you live. You'll feel blessed. You'll experience peace in your home. You're gonna find out what you need to give your life to, because you've been giving your life to a lot of things, but they've been scamming you.
Yeah.
Right now, all of it. So you see what I'm saying? We've got your Sunday. We just had to give it a thematic angle that people can now, oh, I want. And typically, your thematic angle is the tension of the message,
Yeah.
right?
So part of my problem has been as the church has grown. So when I came here, I would plan out 2 months, 3 months worth. I was that far ahead. And now I'm like, it's Saturday night. I pretty much know what I'm going to speak on, but I haven't shared that with anybody. I haven't put that out there. Nobody knows where I'm headed.
That's why this is become so important, the organizational chart, right? Because I need one of these guys, and most likely it'll be the fine person. I need this fine person to be thinking about how are we going to reach more people and what's the experience going to be when they walk in the doors. And so this fine person should be meeting with you, whether it's once a month or on a weekly basis. Pastor, what's on your heart? What are we doing this Sunday? Pastor, let's sit down and let's plan the I call it the spiritual diet. Let's plan the spiritual diet for the next 3 months, right? If it's coming from you, then you're still the initiator. That means that the system isn't really in place. What we want is we want it to come from this person to you, right? And I'm going to add that over here, right? So we want this person, in essence, hold on, let me clear this up. In essence, what we're kind of writing here is almost like a job description. And so we want this person, oops, to do service planning. This includes virtual diet or includes service planning 3 months ahead.
Yeah, I recognize my part of my failure in this. You know, years ago, we did this. I did the service planning. My
Hmm.
problem was I invited everybody into the circle.
Yeah, that becomes very headacheish in
It
terms
was
of,
just, it was just overwhelming. And one or two people in particular. Oh, I gotta know this, I gotta know this, I gotta know this, I gotta know. I don't know. It's easier to quit planning than it
yeah,
was to try and answer all their questions. And that's honestly, that's what happened.
yeah, but that's what this person should then help you do. So when someone comes to you and says, Pastor, what's happening this morning? Man, did you speak to the fine director? Oh, no, no, I haven't. Oh, you need to go speak to them. They'll tell you what's happening for Sundays. And then again, this is where this team meeting becomes important because now what it gives me an opportunity to say, hey, Mr. Fine Director, um, this is what we need. We need a service flow. So now everyone who's has to do anything with Sunday should get a service flow by Wednesday. We need we need to make sure that you're communicating with the ushers or making sure the teams are scheduled, the
We do all
worship
that
team.
Sunday morning at 10 after 10.
Yeah, but that,
I mean, I've got a service flow. I meet with everybody. We pray together. One of the things that you and I talked about was doing a devotional then. I've not done it very often on Sunday mornings,
Mhm.
but my Wednesday team I've done that with.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, they get it, but they get it Sunday morning.
They get it Sunday morning. Yeah. But see, now this person will help you do it, you know. And here's how I want you to be thinking. Um, right? Acts 6, verse 2, where the disciples said, we're not going to neglect prayer and the word to wait on tables.
Yep.
Right? You giving out service flows is waiting on tables. Um, and I hear it from pastors all the time. I love doing this. I love doing that. And I'm like, I get it. And look, if you have the time, go ahead and do it, but not at the expense of peace of mind, right? Prayer and the word. Like God has put people in your area. Um, so do you have someone in mind when you think of this role who you feel like, you know what, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, I do. Um, Chris Friesen is who I have in mind for and let me give you a why I have her in mind. Freisen.
Eisen.
Yeah. Um, when it comes to she is in particular, and so maybe this is not the right one, but in particular, event coordination,
Hmm.
absolute rock star. I mean, like over the top. You have when we did Feed the 5,000, uh, she got all the pop lined up. She got all the food lined up. We cooked in a week's time. We cooked 60 gallons of baked beans. That's a
Wow.
55-gallon drum
Wow.
and a 5-gallon bucket on top. She orchestrated all of that.
Wow.
So she is the queen bee when it comes to organizing and prepping the kitchen. And so I'm from a prep side, I don't know if she's the whole director, but event wise, she's it.
Yeah. And so what we can do is we can bring her in and we can say, hey, we want you to try this thing out. This is what it's going to look like. We'll meet with you. I'll meet with her. We'll provide some training and stuff like that. Do it for a month or two. And then if it's not for you, we can always pull back and say, okay, then let's fit you in one of the sub departments that are under it.
Yeah. Now again, if it is anything regarding an event, I don't know if Sunday to Sunday she is the individual,
Mhm.
but certainly for events, she's that person.
Yeah. And again, we won't we the challenge with this too is that she may not even know,
Right.
right? Like I've been in positions where I've had people on my team that I saw stuff in them that they didn't see in themselves.
Yeah.
And so I had to give them a project. And once they did the project, I was able to come back and say, see, I knew this, I knew this, I knew this, I knew this.
Okay.
Instead of this being a project that has a beginning and end, I want to turn this into a ministry that you're giving leadership to,
Okay.
right? But you know, and we'll again we'll work with it. If it's not the right person, we'll know. And I I am okay with we're gonna try it. We're not making any declarations like we're not anointing you the fine director for the rest of your life.
Okay.
We're just saying, hey, can you take on this role for the next 2 to 3 months? And we will have conversations and see how it goes.
Okay.
You know, and if it doesn't go well, again, we're from the very beginning, we're saying, hey, we're gonna try it. It's possible that you might hate this role. It's possible you might love it, and we might think you're not doing a good job. Right. And so we're gonna have conversations throughout the entire process. After 3 months, we'll come back and you'll say to me, hey, this is it. And we'll confirm it. And
Okay.
then if it is, then we'll keep moving forward. If it's not, then we'll make adjustments. We'll fit you in the area where is best, you're best gonna shine. Because it sounds to me that she might end up being, if she's not the director over everything, she might be the organized outreach person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For sure there.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I
and
don't know if the week to week is the right fit, but for sure in that organized outreach.
yeah.
No,
And she might say it from the beginning. So, we'll have a conversation. She'll turn around and
she
say,
was an event coordinator for years
hmm,
and had her own restaurant, a catering business.
yeah,
So she just thinks about all that stuff constantly.
yeah, yeah. So
And
I think
we've,
this will be
we've
perfect.
way underutilized her. Way underutilized her.
And unless she looks at services like an event, you know, right?
Yeah.
Like if she was in the food industry and she was dealing with an event, right? She's seeing it from the lenses of a maitre d' per se, or an
Yeah.
event coordinator or planner. Hey, we've got to have ushers. That might be even better because I want someone who's saying, man, when someone walks into the parking lot, the moment they park, we're making them feel like they're like we're rolling out the red carpet for
Good
them,
point. Good point.
you know. Um, and
So my job in all of this is not so much to superimpose everything I think on them, but rather let's let that this position be discovered. Let's let them see where they're at in it.
yeah, a combination of the two. Because
Okay.
what you think is important though, because you are the senior leader,
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So I don't want you to just so the art is, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and then giving her the opportunity to take what you're thinking. So you what you want to do is you want to set at least the standard. If we're not meeting the standard, we're missing the mark.
Right.
I want her to meet the standard and then supersede it,
Yeah. Okay.
right? Um, and hopefully this doesn't sound wrong or what I think is going to happen or how it operates with most pastors is that when pastors view their services, their ideas are typically good,
Right.
right? It's good. It was good. It was fine.
Right.
But then you got somebody else who is gifted in this area. They
Absolutely.
take your good and they make it, holy cow, that was one of the most
Yeah.
impactful right? That's what we want from her.
And I think that is really what, because I think if I look at what I'm good at, if I look at the area that God has gifted me and what He's equipped me to do, it's not that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not that. I really don't much care. I know I have, but I don't think about how it's gonna, I just don't care. I
Yeah.
mean, it's good, but I don't care.
And
So finding that thing, that person that just really loves that, that's critical. That's
yeah, the other thing that you are responsible for though is setting the culture. And what I
yeah,
mean by that is this. You're going to everything we do is going to flow from the vision and the heart of the house,
yeah,
right? So we will have to make sure we're communicating what that heart is so
right.
that way anyone on the team is operating out of it. So they're not creating their own culture,
No, no, I get that. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. I see that.
Yeah. And we'll again as we start we go into deeper stuff.
So
We'll wrap.
one of the things that I have, I guess if you talk to a lot of my former leaders and helpers and different, there's been a bit of abandonment in a way, because it's like I set the standard and then I say, okay, I'm anticipating, expecting you to do this, and I'm off on setting the next one, and I don't come back a lot of times. So people kind of feel abandoned. That's one of my areas of character weaknesses there.
So this is why we're defining the team and then we're going to have a bi-weekly team meeting.
Okay.
So it's just got to be something that shows up on your calendar. The
Okay.
structure of the meeting, I'm going to give to you. I think after a little bit, like I'll be in those meetings and then after a little bit, someone on the team will be able to run the meeting and we'll get them to a point where the meeting should be happening whether Pastor Tim is in the room or not,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Ministry happens even in your absence,
Right.
right? God is still on his throne, even if Pastor Tim isn't present. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's where we want them to get to. But I do want you in the meetings because what I don't want is I don't want them to go completely off rails,
Right.
right?
Right.
But if you miss a meeting or two, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Right now, the what we call our staff meeting, I think for the first time, 2 months ago, was the first time that I was not at one and they still had one.
Yeah, that's good.
It was. It's very good, but that's like the first time in 16 years.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. And
Otherwise, if I'm not there, we just don't have it.
you don't have it. And this is one of the things, once we finish the next step that we're going to do is we're going to create what we call leadership values. So the reason that's important is because what leadership values, it's this concept called freedom, right? Freedom within a framework.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
what that means is
I buy that.
value number one, value number two, value three, value four. Let's say we have five values we end up walk. As a leader, man, you can make decisions, you can go ahead and do your thing, but if you violate one of these values, that's when we have a conversation,
Okay. Okay.
right? But the
Yeah.
values become the boundaries for your operation, you
Yeah.
know. So that way you can, man, I can trust Chris to make decisions
Right.
even when I'm not there because she's lining up with our values.
So I teach this to parents all the time. You let your kids make any decision they want to as long as you can live with it.
Listen, I learned this from my wife. She used to say all the time. She said, "We're going to let the kids make decisions, but we're determining the options." So
Yeah.
it'd be
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
boys, you can have an apple, or you can have strawberries.
Right.
I want cookies. You can have an apple, or you can have strawberries. Which one do you want? And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I want strawberries, right? So
So that the human nature side is it still gives them the freedom to control a little bit within those parameters. Matter of fact, they have 100% control
they
within those
do
parameters.
within
So
those parameters.
yeah.
Man, lead your team as long as let's say for example, like I had one pastor, one of his values was always have love on your lips. And what he meant by that was when you're correcting people, there should be some form of encouragement. When you're dealing with, I want people, even if you have a hard conversation, walking away feeling like, man, the church is for me, or hey, they're helping me move forward. And so
Yeah.
he was like, you know, because what would happen is, Oh, pastor, we had an issue with X, Y, and Z. Can you address the person? No, I'm not going to address the person. He's under your leadership. As long as you have love on your lips, you can address them. You
Yeah.
can have a hard conversation in a loving way. And
Yeah.
right. So now I trust you to lead as long as you're following these values. Well, let's move to connect. So with connect, typically what connect looks like is uh we'll have like the first impressions team. This is like parking lot, ushers, greeters, hospitality, anything that, is just going to help people feel at home, right? So we have first impressions, then we have our follow-up team. And again, these systems, these are the things that I'm building for you, right? With you, really. So I'm gonna say, hey, this is what this is what it normally looks like. You can say, oh, I like this, I like that, I don't like it. Let's change it, or let's massage it, right? So you got your follow-up team. These are people who are gonna. There's two types of follow-ups, right? So you've got first-time guests, and typically we'll do some sort of like 4-week follow-up that leads to a next step, whatever the next step is, we determine. And then there's what I call long-term follow-up. And this is people who have never, they came to the church for the first time, they went through the 4 weeks of follow-up, and they have not responded back to us. And so we send them an invitation once a month to whatever outreach event we're doing
Okay.
or to a service or something. So we're once a month, we're just checking in, checking in, checking in. Um, then from here, we typically have like a membership team, right? So, hey, you went through the follow-up, you signed up for membership, and then you got your membership team, and then you have I'm just going to call it a volunteer coordinator who is responsible for helping onboard new volunteers, and they work with the ministry leaders. So at this point, when someone is serving in a ministry, we consider them connected, right?
Yeah.
They're connected. Or and it could be, sorry, just to be clear, it could be ministry, it could be groups. Um, for some people, it might be counseling. So you might have some people that go through your membership class and they're living common law, they're not married, and we may turn around and say, hey, we want you to go get some marital counseling first. Then we'll worry about membership and serving and everything else,
Yeah.
right? So and all of these are different ministries that fall under the Connect Director. You know, um, under Learn, right? We'll have groups, and I look at groups as long-term discipleship,
Okay.
right? So what I mean by that is you might be in a group for the next 6 months, a year, 2, 3 years. Maybe you move from one group to another, but this is groups becomes the main way that we're doing discipleship. Um, then we have what we do for new believers. And typically we'll do like a new believers class. Um, I have some churches that do like a baptism class.
Okay.
That's like a 1-day class. You're about to get baptized. And then I have a growing in Christ class. And this is kind of like that next level of discipleship. And then we have our leadership development process. And this would be something like the goal for here is so when I'm looking at an org chart, let me show you. We're looking at an org chart and I'm looking at it at 4 different levels. So up here, this is like a level 4 leader. My ministry leaders are my level 3 leaders. Team captains are level 2s. And then anyone who's in the ministry, I would consider a level 1 leader.
Okay.
Right. So all that simply means is if you're a level 1, you're a level 1 because you went through our membership class and you at least have an idea of the DNA of the house.
Okay.
Right. Well, if you're a level 2, you've gone through our leadership values and you have an understanding of what it means to lead in our context.
Okay.
If you're a level 3 leader, you've done level one, level two, and we're teaching you skills for leading at a bit of a higher level, right? So as a ministry leader, you're learning how to lead, how to do, for example, a team meeting, or how to maybe have a corrective conversation with someone.
Okay.
And then a level four leader, we're talking about you're shepherding an actual department. So these are people who might help you with, hey, I'm going to help you at least point you to the right direction. So let's say this ministry leader up here is having some marital issues. Your person up here is going to be able to say, hey, I see what's going on. Can I get you to meet with Pastor so and so? Can I get you counseling? Can I get you some support? Hey, can I pray for you? Right? Because it's not just about tasks, it's also about the people.
Sure.
And that's what I mean by they're helping you shepherd.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be, hey, if Pastor Tim doesn't notice, it doesn't get noticed. It'll be, no, I've got some gatekeepers that are helping me keep watch of where people are and how they're doing spiritually. This person might turn around and say to one of the ministry leaders, hey, are you leading a small group? Or hey, did you make sure that your teams are in a small group? Or hey, we're doing this Bible study. You're going to be there? Hey, we're right there. They're making sure that people are growing spiritually and not just active and busy.
Good.
And whoops, hold on. Zoom just took over my screen. So that's learning. And then serve. Right? So people are serving. And I think that when we talk about serve, we're talking about a couple of things. Number one is what we call a leadership interest meeting. So this will be like the way we kind of launch and get some people, some volunteers in and make sure that all of the teams are filled. And then two, just caring for people in service. So what this might look like is what's going to be a step down process, or maybe not step down, let's call it is there a church discipline process or support? Because sometimes people need to step away from ministry, they need to serve for whatever reasons. Someone might be pregnant, someone's going through school, there's some stuff happening at home. And what we don't want is someone leaves the ministry and then they never hear from us again because they stepped down from ministry,
Okay.
you know. Um, so these are some initial thoughts. What do you want to add, take away, adjust?
Well, no, I, I think we got it. I mean, I'm gonna have to chew on it a little while,
Yeah,
but I do have a couple more names.
give them to me. Let's do it.
For a Connect director would be Jeff Friesen,
Is that Chris's wife?
husband and wife.
I mean, husband? Sorry.
Yeah. Um, for Learn, I would like to start with Les Peterson. Now, LES, yeah, Peterson. The problem with Les is I mean, they've just started coming within the last 4 or 5 months, 4 months.
Okay.
I've known him for a long time,
Yeah.
but I knew my sheetrocker too for 10 years and I had to fire him. So, uh,
Yeah.
um, and the serve director, uh, a couple actually, Lloyd and Ruby. Uh, Keen, Kiihn. Now, Lloyd is one of my elders,
Perfect.
but he is going to be stepping down from that elder position probably in the next year. He's given me a year,
Okay.
but he's just saying, you know what, I'm getting older. I'm not very agile. I've had some medical stuff, and I don't want to be that involved, but I want to still be involved. So I see him as a really,
hmm
you
This could
know,
really be a role where he'll have some level of involvement, but it'll be more caring for people,
Yeah, yeah.
checking in and
Which he
coming.
gravitates towards, and so does she.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're kind of a grandma and grandpa in the house.
I
So
think that that's perfect. And it doesn't mean that we can't get them some admin support,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So hey, here's an admin, use them, but your job is to care for the people,
yeah.
treat, don't spoil them like you would your grandkids, but care for them like you would.
No, that's who he's a grandpa who's willing to give a spanking.
Yeah.
So so
Yeah, sometimes you got to give the kids a spanking then.
so that's the way it is. So
Yeah. Um, but this is good. So we've got some team members. So those team members would fall into here. And then the only one that we're missing would be the operations. And I'm assuming you might have somebody, I don't know if you have a staff member who does your stuff already, like accounting and, HR and that kind of stuff.
yeah, Corey does all that. My deal with him is I want to remove him from as much stuff as possible.
Okay.
He does not have a lot of the same values. He's my church secretary who we've had problems with.
Yeah.
Um, so currently, he does all of that. And part of it he does very well.
Hmm.
He is not a people person,
Yeah.
so he does not do well in some of those areas for sure.
Mm. Yeah. So let's definitely keep his name off of it.
Yeah,
So we said this would be Chris.
fine. Chris, yeah,
This is
Jeff,
what was his name again?
Jeff Friesen,
Jeff. Um,
Les Peterson,
and then
Lloyd, and Ruby. Okay,
so there we go. So what we I'm assuming none of these are on staff, right?
nobody's on staff.
Yep. So we would want to then figure out a time that we can meet with them.
Yeah,
Okay. And then in that meeting, then we can kind of say, hey, this is what we're thinking about. This is what we're kind of messing around with in terms of some ideas. Would this be something you're interested in? They would then become your, I'm calling it a leadership team, but you can call it something else. The reason I call it this is because every ministry reports to someone on that team. Okay. They wouldn't be over your elders. Your elders would still be over them.
right.
And you don't have deacons, right? It's just elders.
We are working to develop deacons at this point, but
Now,
all of this is kind of, in the mix at the same time. So
so let me ask this question in regards to the elders. Um, how much influence do they need to have in this conversation? Do we need to meet with them too first?
So I've got really good buy-in from my elders. The best way that I can put it is 16 years they trust me. They trust my leadership.
Yeah,
So I don't need buy-in, but I would keep them all up to date,
yeah.
as we go along.
So yeah, so I think it's what we can do is I'm gonna take this information here and start creating what we call a position agreement. What a
Okay,
position agreement simply is, it's another word for a job description.
sure.
Um, let me
They
just
used to call them ministry descriptions, but I don't care. We call them position agreements. That's fine.
yeah, ministry roles, ministry descriptions, those are perfect. The difference between a job description and what I like to create is most of the times when I see a job description, it's all about qualifications. Are you qualified to do this job?
Okay.
These role descriptions are about what is a win in the job. Like I
Okay.
want them to know what we want them to do, what we expect them to do. I'm
Yep.
assuming they're qualified already.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
so yeah, so this is the beginning of this. Just to be clear, I'm not expecting them to create a new believers class. I
Right.
have one. We would go over it and we would massage it. I'm not expecting them to create a growing in Christ class. Again, I have one. I'm not expecting them to create small groups. I would walk them through the process, right? The same thing with the membership class. We have a curriculum, and I know you have one you've gotten also from Church of the Highlands,
Right.
right? So we can make adjustments to it. Um, the first impressions trainings and follow-up emails, all of this stuff I'm giving to you guys, all we're doing is massaging it to fit who you guys are.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So it expedites the process a little bit more. I don't want them to be creating stuff. I want them to be more like leading and managing.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going to say, hey, here's the process. Once a quarter, we're going to do small groups, or once a quarter, we're going to do a new believers class. We want you to do X. We want you to do Y. We want you to do Z with this class. When the class is over, someone on your team is going to enter this into planning center, right? Like we're going to lay some of those things out. And then their job is to help us. Hey, we need 3 teachers. Did you find the teachers yet? Okay, we're going to do a teacher training. We're going to do a X, Y, and Z. We're going to right? And they're helping us execute it.
You mean
And
that's not all my job anymore?
well, unless you want it to be, but
No,
I would,
brother. No, no. I'm getting ready to give you a bonus already.
yeah, let's give it all away. Give it
Yeah.
all away.
Yeah.
I'm not to be overly spiritual, but I'm a big believer in Acts 6, verse 7, that says after it talks about the disciples saying, know that they're not going to wait on tables, and they
Yep.
give it away to the deacons per se. Verse 7 says, and the gospel continued to spread, and the disciples grew rapidly. I think there's something to that verse where when you start to delegate and leverage the giftings that God has placed within your oversight,
Yeah.
that it leads to further growth.
Yeah.
Um, you
I
know,
I it was probably 6 months ago or so. Um, and as I was preparing for a message, actually I think it was just during my prayer time, and I felt like the Lord spoke to me. And again, not to be overly spiritual, but we believe that God does speak to us. And I just felt like He told me He was going to send the people. They just needed the work to do. He
yeah,
was so that moving quickly. I believe that some of these people are part of that moving quickly.
the acceleration, yeah, yeah,
And I've got people that it's the craziest thing. It's like they're coming in hungry to serve.
yeah.
And we're not structured to serve at this point. But that's what this is going to provide for.
Yeah, we will be. Yeah, we will be. Um, okay, two things. One is I'm gonna work on those job descriptions, role descriptions. I'll get you something by Friday for these different roles.
Okay.
You can, take a look, sign off, and then I would love to be able to set up a time to meet with them.
Okay.
With, um,
Chris, Jeff, and
yeah, it's up to you if you want to start by meeting with them individually and having a conversation with them, like me, you, and them. Or if it's they're comfortable enough or you're comfortable enough with bringing them all into the room and having one big conversation with all of them.
okay.
Okay. You'll decide that, and then I'll follow up with you and you'll let me know, what would be a good date for us to.
Yeah. Okay.
uh,
My initial inclination would be to do it all together.
okay, good. That's my preference.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Because here's the other thing I'm gonna say to you is, and you'll hear me say this over and over again, my unless it's a personal issue, I would prefer not to have you meet with any of them one-on-one
Okay.
because then decisions get made and now it takes more effort to communicate than it does if we were all in the same room and everybody was hearing the decisions being made.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That
You
makes,
know, and again, and as we create this meeting, you may turn around and say, "Hey, can we have one of the elders be in the meeting because we need to make sure the elders are aware of what's happening." Great. Let one of the elders.
that would be, I will have a conversation with my elders before we have this meeting,
Perfect.
just to say, so that's one of the beauties again of my elders is they're on board with what we're doing. I always keep them abreast of everything that's going on, and then I have that's I think that's what gives them buy-in.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not a hard sell for me with just about anything in our elders meeting because I try to keep them abreast of everything.
Yeah.
that
That'll
we're-
be perfect. So what I'll do, I'm gonna let I'm sorry, my 11 is on, so I'm gonna just
Got it.
let him in really quickly. I'm gonna hit I'm just gonna stop recording. Where's the stop recording? Pastor Troy, give me 1 second. I'm just wrapping up.